Okay, hello. All right. This lesson is about converting units of measure. So let's start with what a unit of measure even is, okay? Unit of measure is just a way, it's a standardized way, quantity used to express a physical quantity such as something like length, time, or weight, okay? So you're probably really familiar with units of measure. Things like, for lengths, things like feet or inches or miles or centimeters. For time, we can measure time in hours or minutes. Weight, you can measure in pounds or kilograms, okay? So yeah, what we're going to really focus on is when we convert units of measure. That's when we rewrite the quantity in a different unit of measure while keeping the quantity the same size. So we don't want to change like the amount we're talking about. We're just going to use different numbers based on the unit of measure we're talking about. Now, the way to do that is basically you convert all measures to the same unit of measure by either multiplying or by using a proportion. Okay, so here's an example. We've got Aaron is apartment shopping and measures the living room of the apartment is in the shape of a rectangle that measures 7 yards by 4 yards. What is the square footage of the apartment? No, 1 yard equals 3 feet. Okay, so let me draw this out. We got 7 by 4. And I want to notice right away that this is in yards. Okay? But we want the square footage of the apartment. So we really want to be talking about the area of this apartment in feet, using 1 yard equaling 3 feet. What I'm going to do first is convert both these dimensions to feet, then calculate the area at the end. Okay, I'm going to use a proportion. So, proportion is just two ratios that are equal. So we know we got 1 yard equals 3 feet. Well, in this case, we have 4 yards. We want to know how many feet that is. So let's just call that x, right? Then I'm going to cross multiply. 1 times x is x. 3 times 4, this helps to see. 3 times 4 is 12. Okay, so basically converting 12 yards is 4 feet. Now, this might help you see that we can just multiply, right? It's 3 feet per yard, so per indicates multiplication, or you could think of 1 yard. Every time there's a yard, there's 3 feet, 7 times, right? So we can also just do 7 times 3. And that will give us 21 yards, or sorry, 21 feet. Ugh. Okay, 21 feet. Now, if the multiplying way is unclear to you, sometimes that gets weird in my head. I don't know if it's just me. You can always rely on the proportion. I could have just set up a second proportion to convert the 7 yards, okay? Now I'm going to actually answer the question. Okay, what is the square footage of the apartment? Well, that would be by basically the area of the apartment is 21 times 12, which is equal to 21 times 12 is equal to 252 square feet. Now, you might be thinking, why couldn't I let's just multiply, if I multiplied 7 by 4, which is 28, and then multiplied by the 3. Okay? Why you can't do that, because 7 times 4 is 28, right? And then if you multiply by, you're trying to convert it to feet, so you get 3, right? You just get 84. That won't work. That's because a square foot is not worth 3 units. A square foot is actually worth 9 units, because it's 3 by 3. So if you did the 28 times 9, you'd get the same answer, but you won't get the same answer by just multiplying by 3. So when dealing with area problems, my recommendation is to convert, if you're dealing with anything with size, like area or volume or surface area or whatever, I would convert your dimensions to the same unit first, and then do your formulas at the end, so you don't run into like this problem. Okay. Next example. A printer can print 120 pages per hour. You need to print a 300-page document. How many minutes will it take you to print the entire document? All right, so I'm given hours. I'm given a rate, kind of, 120 per hour. So I'm noticing 120 pages per 1 hour. But I need to get 300. So I need 300 pages. How long is that going to take me? So I'm already using a proportion to even answer that question. And then I'm going to convert to minutes at the end. So I'm going to cross multiply. I'm going to get 300 equals 120x. Divide. Honestly, and this equation might have been clear to you from the get. If you're just like, well, done, you divide by 120 to 300, that's totally fine too. This is just, again, proportions can really help you when you're dealing with rates, ratios, proportions can really help organize our thinking. All right, anyway, so, sorry, we were dividing by 120, and x equals, what's 300 divided by 120? 2.5. All right, so 2.5 hours, okay, but it wants minutes. Now, I know there's 60 minutes per 1 hour, right? I could do a proportion, or I could just immediately, like, 60 times 2.5. For every hour, there's 60 minutes, so we get 150. 60 times 2.5 is 150 minutes. And again, if that wasn't clear, you could just use a proportion again to do that rate conversion. Okay, cool. Let's deal with, let's get you set up with the WHO problem solving strategy. I think, guys, these types of problems, we're dealing again with rates and ratios and conversions and stuff. This WHO problem solving strategy of like, what does the question really want? What does it have? And then how can you organize your thinking to connect what it has to what you want, I think is really, really helpful. So let's do that here. A pump fills 10 gallons of water every 10 minutes. How many seconds will it take to fill a 1,600 quart tank? No, 4 quarts equals 1 gallon. Ew, this is gross. So there's multiple. Okay, so what does it want? It wants seconds to fill 1,600. What does it have? Well, we know 10 gallons per 2 minutes. Okay, so how are you going to organize your thinking? What stands out to me is that in both of these cases, we're going to have to figure out, you're going to have to convert in 2 places, right? You're going to have to convert minutes to seconds at some point and gallons to quarts at some point. And how you organize that thinking is up to you. I will leave you to it. Hope that makes sense. This one is definitely kind of tricky. Okay, but you got this, says the little pink penguin. Yeah, look, you got it. Look, okay. Look at you. It's like, I got this, even though I wobble. Look at me. Figure it out. Okay, hope that made sense.